Hi, I know this is an important week for gamers. It's like E3 is happening like right now, I know, but I really want to talk about Donkey Kong 64, but like I know it's not like a very like the trending topic right now, but you know, just stick with me. 15 minutes, that's all I ask. 15 minutes, and then we could all start freaking out about the E3 announcements next week, okay? Cool.
Okay.
Donkey Kong 64. Sweet, poor Donkey Kong 64. There was a time in my youth when I looked at this game as the pinnacle of all 3D platformers, and as I grew into adulthood, I always thought of the game with a certain fondness. But not anymore, fam. Not anymore. Donkey Kong 64 is a segmented, poorly designed, and convoluted mess of a 3D collectible platformer. It breaks my heart to say these words, truly it does. But after revisiting the game almost 20 years after its release, I'm finally able to pierce through my rose-tinted goggles of nostalgia and really dive into why the game didn't sit with me so well this time around. I want to stress that despite my harsh words up front, I don't hate this game. There are things I genuinely love about it, and there are slight glimmers of good design sprinkled throughout the adventure, but for the most part, I found myself getting frustrated and having to force myself to play the game so I can do this video. So now I'm going to try to calmly discuss my thoughts about the game, though I'm not gonna lie, it might get heated. First of all, if you don't know, Donkey Kong 64 was developed by Rare, the golden boys of the N64, who produced hit after hit after hit after hit. That is,
before the dark times, before the Empire.
So coming fresh off of Banjo-Kazooie in '98 and loving it, I was ready for Rare's next 3D platforming adventure. And for 6-year-old me, this game was everything I could ask for. Big open levels for me to jump around in, 5 unique Kongs to play as, and a metric assload of collectibles. It was a dream come true for a young, impressionable youth such as myself, and I firmly believe that with just a bit more tweaking, Donkey Kong 64 could have been as good as 6-year-old me thought it was. Hey man, you fucking talking shit about a Donkey Kong 64? I could kill you. I mean, what are you
Boy,
doing?
he's a
It's the
feisty
best
one.
game ever. The story can be summed up to basically, aw shucks, K. Rool's at it again. He just shows up at DK Isle, crashes into a rock at full speed, and somehow doesn't sink his ship, traps DK's 4 playable friends, how convenient, and is gearing up to fire a big-ass laser to blow up DK Island once and for all. Doesn't seem too important, so let's just move on. Oh. I can't skip this. Now that that's over, the tutorial. We get some hands-on time with DK and his basic moveset, and shortly thereafter we learn a bunch of important stuff in these here tutorial barrels Cranky directed us towards. How to swing from vines, how to throw barrels, how to weaponize oranges, you know, the huge. We go back over to Cranky, drink a potion to upgrade DK's butt, and so we can finally get out of the tutorial onto the main hub of the game. It's here where we'll access the different worlds in the game. But before we access these worlds, first we gotta go visit our friend K. Lumsy in this here boulder over here. He's a big dumb crocodile K. Rool caged up and he's sad. Now that can't do. DK's all like, yo, we got you fam. We'll bring those boss keys from each level and you'll open the next level, cool? And then K. Lumsy's like, we grab the first of the game's golden MacGuffins and the first level, here we come. Alright, finally the game. Oh wait, there's another cutscene. And now the game can start. Now as we step into the first world, we start to get accustomed to the things we'll be collecting throughout the game. I've already mentioned the golden MacGuffins as they're the game's main collectible. Your stars, your jiggies, you get it. Each world has 25 of them, 5 for each Kong, with a grand total of 200 between the 7 worlds and the hub. You only need 100 of them to actually beat the game, but for more hardened completionists, you have a rough journey ahead. Each golden banana is obtained in a variety of different methods throughout the game, using each Kong's special moves and abilities. More often than not, your path leads you down to a mini-game barrel. Ooh, and let me tell you, these are the worst. Mostly the worst. Some of them are fine, like Mad Maze Maul, when you just run through a maze and beat up baddies before finding the exit. Or Teetering Turtle Trouble, where you feed melons to snakes to get turtles balanced. But then you got your crazy Kong clamors. God, so much alliteration. Which seems like it gives you absolutely no time to react, and you have to have like superhuman the reaction times to beat it. Where was I? Collectables, that's right. In addition to the golden MacGuffins, you'll also need to collect bananas to open boss doors, banana coins to buy upgrades like special moves from Cranky, various food-related weaponry from Funky, and instruments from Candy, as well as health melons, ammo crates, orange grenades, and crystal coconuts to power special abilities. Now that's a lot of collectibles, and that's just the basics. See, you start the game being only able to play as Donkey Kong, so the only items you will see are the items that correspond to Donkey Kong and the upgrades that he has available, being only the yellow bananas and coins, and maybe an orange here and there. So it doesn't seem too bad. You see the nanners, you pick up the nanners, bada bing bada boom. But as you progress in the game and rescue the other Kongs, you'll start to see a whole rainbow of banana colors popping up in each level. Red bananas for Diddy, blue bananas for Lanky, purple bananas for Tiny, and green for my main man Chunk. So if you happen across, say, a bunch of red bananas as Donkey Kong, guess what? You can't pick them up. You gotta come back with Diddy, which means we're gonna have to find the nearest tag barrel to switch between the Kongs, and while there are a reasonable amount of them scattered throughout each level, I always seem to need one when I'm nowhere near one, and buried inside this constant inconvenience lies the game's most fatal flaw. With having 5 playable Kongs with separate abilities, objectives, and collectibles, the game just feels incredibly segmented. Gameplay mostly feels like busy work, like I'm marking off a checklist. Take this building in Angry Aztec, one of the many like it in this level, for example. 5 doors, 5 character-specific switches, 5 copy-paste level designs, 5 incredibly underwhelming golden MacGuffins. While there are some better level designs here and there for the most part, I feel DK64 really missed the mark when structuring its flow of gameplay, so to speak. Instead of designing golden MacGuffins to only be obtainable by certain Kongs, let any of the Kongs pick up the useless plot devices. Design certain areas and objectives to be more easily accessible with a certain Kong, but can also be accomplished with others if the player can figure out a way. They sorta implemented a version of this in later levels by placing these different colored crushes in areas harder to reach with different characters, but it mostly feels forced as they carry yet another important thing to collect: blueprints. These blueprints of varying color, so would to be called purple prints then, are to be brought to the sneaky fox named Snide. He actually built the plans for the giant death laser pointed at the island, but him and K. Rool had a bit of a falling out, so now he's helping out us by giving up some golden MacGuffins for each blueprint, red print, found. They'll be important later on, but for now, let's get back to this pesky tag barrel. This tag barrel is another big gripe I have with the overall design. Of course, it's necessary to change characters, but did it have to be like a physical thing? Couldn't it just have been a menu option? Just have the tag barrel swoop in and spit out the next character? God, this one tiny thing could have made a huge difference on the overall game. Being able to switch Kongs out on the go would have cut down so much downtime and have really sped up the pace of the game, which I now see that's maybe why they did it, just to pad the length a bit. This, in combination with the game's segmented nature, makes for some really tedious ways to progress efficiently. For example, let's look at Gloomy Galleon, the game's 4th world and the first one where you're probably going to enter with all the Kongs unlocked. This is where, roughly 4 hours in, my nostalgia started to break away, and all of the cracks in Donkey Kong 64's level design started to show themselves to me. Here's the opening of the level. If you miraculously enter the level as Lanky, you can pick up these bananas. If not, you're going to have to backtrack here later. You get to this crossing and you decide to go left. Change to Tiny to pick up these purple bananas. You get to the end of that hall to see a door locked with peanut switches, which only Diddy can open using his peanut gun. But before you haul back to the tag barrel, oh hey, there's a tiny switch next to the gate. Well, at least I can hit that. It's on the other side of the gate. Back to the barrel. This is the whole game, folks. Walk down one path with one Kong, realize you need a different Kong, backtrack to the nearest tag barrel, switch, go back to the place you were before, and then, and only then, you can progress. It's a constant back and forth, and it's annoying as hell seeing how big the worlds are and how slow in contrast the Kongs seem to move through them. Okay, I've been really negative so far, so before I talk about my last major gripe with the game, let's get my positive thoughts out, because yay, happy thoughts! The strongest thing Donkey Kong 64 has going for it is its personality. Rare crafted a really visually interesting take on the Donkey Kong crew, and it really shines through the animations and the music. Each character has such a unique set of animations, and they all really seem to nail the personality of each character they're for. I especially love Chunky's reaction to picking him in the tag barrel.
Tiny.
Like many other Rare games on the system, DK64 is vibrant, colorful, and just a little wacky. Further emphasized by the amazing soundtrack composed by none other than Grant Kirkhope. As he also has composed music for Banjo, it's got a very similar feeling to it. Definitely some DKC inspiration in there, but it more sounds like Banjo than Donkey Kong, which honestly I'm okay with. Despite how the actual game design makes me feel, the music more than makes up for it. It may be the nostalgia, but I found myself humming along to mostly all of the game's tracks. That is, whenever I wasn't being interrupted by falling boulders, Crystal Caves. Okay, calm down. Happy thoughts, happy thoughts. Oh yeah, and let's talk about the last level because, spoiler alert, it's the best freaking one. This is Hideout Helm. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, break into the Blastomatic control room, shut down the machine, and kick K. Rool's Crocomire ass. Despite having a timer determined by the number of blueprints you collected, this is still my favorite level in the game, as it's the only one designed how the whole game should have been. It's a really short sequence, but basically you have a linear path that leads you to the control room and must switch between Kongs along the way to get past each obstacle. It's the first time in the game where character swapping felt natural, and this idea of each Kong working together to attain a higher goal is way more engaging than separate paths the rest of the game takes you on. Once you reach the control room and open up each gate, the game folds back into its segmented nature as you take on the barrel challenges, but it still feeds into this greater goal of shutting down the machine. We basically just needed more of this throughout the whole game. Just more of this and it would have been good. But after you shut down the machine and are expecting the final showdown with K. Rool, the game throws one last fuck you your way. As you walk onto the bridge of the ship, you'll see a door with a crown on it. More collectibles? Oh, you know it. Throughout the game, you'll occasionally run into one of these pads with K. Rool's mug on them. These are battle arena challenges, and you're gonna have to survive 4 of these to obtain the number of crowns needed to open this door. But that's not all, folks. Behind that door is another door with a rare and a Nintendo coin on it. These 2 coins are the very reason why I never beat this game as a kid. Let's start with the rare coin, as it's the easier of the 2. To get this, you'll need to score a 5,000 or more on Cranky's Jetpack arcade game. But before you can even play this, you'll need to acquire 15 banana medals, which you get for collecting 65 bananas of the same color in a world. As for the Nintendo coin, in the level Frantic Factory, you can find a functioning arcade cabinet of Donkey Kong that you can play. Beating the game once is an objective for getting a golden MacGuffin, but you'll have to beat the game twice to get that coveted Nintendo coin. Oh, thank God. I spent 2 hours of my life trying to get this damn coin. 2 hours! I could have watched a whole ultimately disappointing Star War in that time. This is basically Rare smacking the player over the head saying, "Oh, I thought you liked collectibles. Not like this, damn it!" And as for the final boss fight, don't even get me started. It's long, it's tedious, and really now that I think about it, it's a perfect bookend to this game. It's a 5-phase boxing match boss fight with K. Rool, with each Kong getting a shot at the Croc. But I do love the theme of this boss fight. It comes out of nowhere, but the boxing aesthetic is hard not to love. The annoying part of this fight is that if you at any point you die, you have to start from the very beginning. And after about an hour of me replaying Donkey Kong and Diddy's phases, as I tried to figure out even how the late phases even worked, I remembered the Wii U version had save states. I don't care if I cheated, it's done, damn it. It may be annoying, but it was definitely the most memorable boss fight in the game, as it should be, being the last one. All in all, Donkey Kong 64 is just a couple major tweaks away from being not so damn frustratingly underwhelming. I still love this game in a weird way, as I did grow up with the thing, and I never had a problem with it then, but looking back on it now, it's apparent that this game has some major problems, at least to me. I'm sure some of you disagree, but hey man, that's just my opinion. And as the resurgence of 3D platformers continues on in the industry with games like A Hat in Time and Yooka-Laylee, I hope future titles in this genre look to DK64's game design to what not to do. Despite its many flaws, it's so hard to not love. I'll just be sure to love this game from a distance now, as in, I'm never picking it up again.
Well done!
You made it to the end of the video. If you like me trash talking games from my childhood, you should like and subscribe to the channel because I make a bunch of videos like this and they're fun to make and I like doing it. So as for the coming storm that is E3, next week I'm gonna have a wrap-up video for it, just kind of wrapping up everything that kind of happened, all the news, all the announcements, all the crazy things, probably mostly focused on Nintendo. Sorry, not sorry. So stay tuned for more stuff. Okay.